Alright, somebody on the Facebook page asked me how I figured out my throttle linkage for the 123 with the 606. The stock linkage would not work. The 606 layout is different, so it hit the arm. So I had to get rid of that. And I tried to use a cable. And I actually came through I tacked that hole up, and I just had a hole there for the an aftermarket pedal and a cable, and then I had it come around the front of the engine through that eyelet. So you can see I actually made that little bracket there, and then we went down to the injection pump. That was too tight of a radius for me, and it didn't work well. It was binding, and it just wasn't smooth. I didn't like it, so I got rid of it, and then I had to rip out the plug I welded in there, and then I put the factory throttle pedal back in. So I hooked back up the original 123 linkage, just this bar across the back with the plastic tabs, and then I made this little tab and welded it in place. So let me get the tape measure. Height became an issue here because of the intake manifold. It's going to be very difficult to hold this at the same time shooting the video. So you'll see we're about an inch. So now if we try to look at the travel, hard to tell from your perspective, but it's only about a half an inch of travel here. And again, the video is not helping me out. And if we look down here on the engine block, you'll see this little black mark right there. That is my initial measurement of how far the linkage needs to travel to be fully open. And if we come around to the other side of the injection pump, you can see it's about even with the line next to the freeze plug. So I just measured between those two, and I found out how far the linkage needs to move. So now I have the two endpoints. I have the pump side, and I have the limitations of the car. So all we need now is to join the two, because they have to change direction. The car moves towards the firewall, but the injection pump needs to move away from it. So we need something in the middle to change the direction of the force, and at the same time I had to introduce a throttle position sensor for the transmission computer. So to do that, I built this little platform, and it just bolts on down below here. And later I'll be modifying this platform to actually come out and provide a base for me to mount the boost pressure sensor for the transmission computer, and I'll probably go ahead and move the relay onto this little platform too. I want to clean all this up because it's functioning, and I just never made my way back to it. So the throttle position sensor, again, I'm limited here and the backside to height. I'll hit the manifold, so I'm about an inch off of the center of this sensor. So I got about an inch height, and we know it needs to move about half an inch in that direction. So the only other thing that's in my control right now is how long do I make this arm to reach that full swing to open the pump. So this is how I figured it out. Okay, if we look at this, you just have a point, and if we come out an inch, that's about the distance from the center of the transmission or the throttle position sensor to the eyelet on that linkage. I need about a half an inch swing, or actually that's all I can get from the pedal assembly. On the injection pump side, I think it was something like a 2 1/4 inch. So all we have to do is, we know everything on this end. We come out a half an inch. We know we need a half-inch swing. Here we know we need a 2 1/4 inch swing. So you just take your tape. Let me grab my tape. So if it's about a 2 1/4, then all we need to do is measure this distance here. And that tells me how long that bottom arm needs to be. A little over 4 inches. This is an inch. You'll see I angled the top just a little bit. And I think there's a notch to grip the throttle position sensor if I remember correctly. And that's close enough because now I can fine tune it with the linkage itself and the ends of the linkage. So it doesn't need to be totally exact. You want to be as close as possible, but then you can fine tune it as you go. The only thing I did that I don't like, aside from this platform not being as strong as I want, is I had to put a bend in the linkage. And that doesn't really affect anything, but it was hitting the mount for the injection pump here. But it's working fine. I get full throttle. I generate a lot of smoke, and it was a pain to work out. So I hope this helps somebody. Thanks for watching.